Thank you for visiting me again. This is Dr. Glenn from the great United States of America. It's a beautiful day in Pennsylvania. I'd like to talk to you about WordPress security. Today, I'm going to encourage you to be a little bit paranoid. I want to ask you a question, and this is probably something that you don't want to think about. How do you lock out me? How do you lock me out? How do you lock out somebody that you hire to come to your website and fix your problems? In December, I had a number of people, 8. I counted them. I was going to do a whole video on this. Maybe I still will, but I saved all of the information and the like. It goes something like this. I hired a freelancer to come into my website because I was hacked. And they stole my website. They hacked me. They destroyed everything. They disappeared into the mist. And now what do I do? Well, let me tell you, first of all, just 10 seconds on this. Your customers aren't going to put up with this. When you get hacked and you hire somebody or you get your website back up and running, you can say to your customers, your visitors to your website, we had a security issue. It's been fixed. We're so sorry. And in 3 or 5 years, they're going to trust you again. You can survive that. But what you can't survive is when you get hacked and then your website comes back up and then you get hacked again in 3 months and then it comes back up and then you get hacked again in 6 months. And this happens to a lot of people. And I'll tell you this, I guess I'll call it a scam, but I don't want to be too brutal. There's a lot of freelancers who just don't know what they're doing. And they think they're helping you. But then there's like I said, there were 8 of them in December that they're just out to get you. So let's look at this situation. You hire somebody. Let me just put on a devil's advocate hat for a second. You hire somebody to come to your website and fix your hack for $10 or whatever nonsense you thought was going to work for you. And they have 1 million positive reviews, and you're like, oh, well, that's just wonderful. Obviously, they know what they're doing. I'm going to hire them. So they come into your website and they contact you 10 or 12 hours later and they say, okay, it's all fixed. Great. That's what you wanted, right? So you go to your website and you click on everything works and you're like, oh, that's fantastic. And then they say, don't forget to change your password when I leave so that I'm locked out, and have a nice day, and call me, please call me again if there's any more problems. So fantastic. You're back up and running. But 3 months later, whammo, your website is completely just destroyed all over again. And you think to yourself, I have no idea what's going on, but that guy or that girl that I hired just saved my bacon. I'm going to go back and get them again. So you go back and you get them again, and this time they maybe want to charge you more money or whatever. And 6 months later, this happens again. Meanwhile, all your customers are leaving, they're going to other places, and you don't know what's happening. What's happening sometimes is that person that you hired has an access key that lets them right back in. So they got your website up and running, and they left themselves a little back door so that they could destroy your site at some point in the future, and then you'd have to hire them again, and it's repeat business. So instead of you being this one and done customer that came in and gave them some money, you keep coming back again and again because they're actually the hackers. It's terrible. So I want you to think about this for a minute in just a little bit of paranoid kind of way. How do you get somebody like me out of your website after you hire me to come in and fix it when you've been hacked? The step number 1 is don't hire some nameless, faceless person and that's outsourcing or has just whatever and wants to work for no money. Is that what your business is worth? Is that what your customers are worth? Is that how you want to be treated when you go to a website? You want them to provide you with a service based on the lowest bidder or something? I don't know. In any event, give that some thought. So today we're going to talk about salts, because this is always overlooked. And I'm going to show you what that is, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about why it's important. And this isn't the total solution. This isn't everything there is to know about your security. It's just one of the things that I want you to keep in mind. So you have you go to your WordPress after the hacker has been in there, or not, sorry, after your helper has been in there, and there's a lot of good ones. So don't, I'm not saying everybody's out to get you, but what I am saying is be a little paranoid, and that'll help you in your life. Okay, it'll protect you and protect your customers. Okay, so you've got that. You want to change the salts, which is part of the access keys that get you into the site. So you go to your file manager, you open your public HTML directory, you find your wp config.php file, you click on edit, and you're presented with your file. It's right here. And so by the way, you have to assume everybody who's been in your site has this information now. Remember, we're being paranoid today. So that guy or woman that you hired to help you now has access to all the information in your file. They probably backed it up on their computer or whatever. I don't have to have your login and password to cause you a bunch of misery. If I have your database information, I can ruin your day. Trust me, I don't even have to log into your site. So something to think about. Am I going to show you how to do that? No, there's a special place in hell for people that come on platforms like this and say, oh, this is all public information. I'm going to teach you how to hack a website. I'm not going to ever show you how to actually do the hacks. It's just rotten. I wouldn't do that. But in any event, you've got that information. So here are the salts that we're talking about today. These are authentication keys or hashes. They are sort of, there's a public side and then there's a private side, and they're important because they store your information in a more secure way. So you have this batch right here, there's 8 of them, and then you have a counterpart that's in the database. And so what is this? When you go to your login page and you put in your login and your password, and it interacts with the WordPress to check and see, is that the login and the password? And if it is, then it stores it in a cookie on your computer that allows you to get right back into the site over and over again and you don't have to log back in. And this is great for you as an administrator. You can go in there, you can work on your site, you can flip back between different tools in WordPress, and it doesn't ask you to log in every 5 minutes. What about that session cookie though? The session cookie shouldn't have the password just written in there, right? And so what it does is it sort of encrypts it in this sort of using these this little key, and it makes it a bunch of gibberish. So if somebody were to steal your cookie, your session cookie or whatever, they would not be able to make sense of what it means. So we're talking about in between your connection and your WordPress, somebody, at a node that's up the line, or I don't want to get too technical, but if there's somebody paying attention or, whatever. So what's the good side of that is, like I said, it's secure. There's a reason for this. But the way that it stores it is your authentication is in a cookie. So what can a person do with that cookie if they have it, or what can they do with your hash code if they have it? So in much the same way I say, you could assume that they backed up your site and that they have this, well, you can assume that they have this. So what can they do? Well, there's a couple of different kinds of attacks that they can use. One is an escalation, and one is simply a way that allows you to slip back in, even if you change the password, by making your cookie persistent. And there's a couple of little tricks there, but rest assured it's a security vulnerability. We don't want other people to have. We don't want people to have this information, and so we need to change it. So what you want to do, you can do this yourself. It takes 5 minutes. You don't have to pay anybody. Just go do it. I do this for every customer, just included in the service. Go over here to this API that they have at WordPress.org. I can't guarantee this address is always going to be the same. So if you go to this particular address and it's changed, just go to WordPress.org, type in salts, and I'm sure there's always a tool somewhere that allows you to do this. Right now, it's at api.wordpress.org/secret-key/1.1/salt, and there's an ending slash. So I want you to pay attention to these to this information. And you would think, oh, how could I ever do any of this? This is just random. Their computer generates a random hash, and that's what makes it awesome. Nobody's paying any attention. Nobody's writing down this information, so you can choose. But when I refresh the page, you can see how these change every time. So it just creates a new random string every single time. So you can pick a few, and then all you have to do is just grab this code, right? Highlight it with your mouse, copy it to your clipboard, sneak back over to your file that you're editing, that's config.php, and start at the first point that says define, and drag down all the way to this last line, right? You're going to stop at that semicolon and then paste over it. Okay, now you've changed that key. All you have to do is go over and click Save Changes, and now you have changed the salt. So let me tell you why this is really important one more time, but in a different way and quickly, because I don't want this video to get long. When you change this salt in your config file, it invalidates all of the cookies that were set before that moment. And so even if I have a persistent cookie authentication token set, and that would allow me to slip back and forth into the site, when I change this hash, it'll kick me out. It'll kick out all the users. Anybody that's in your system that's logged in at that moment will get thrown out. And you can verify this by logging in a different screen while you do this, so you can see yourself get kicked out if you like. And that means that nobody can use a pre-existing token to cause any problems for you. That's one of the ways that you can make sure that the freelancer that you hired doesn't have, ammunition that they could use against you at some point in the past. Is it enough? No, but changing your password is not enough either. So you need to do things like this, like adjust your database and stuff. I'll do that in a different video. So now you know a little bit more about salts, about how the login system works, and about one of the ways that you can secure your WordPress a lot better than it was before. So thank you for checking in. I really appreciate you for everything, for coming by and taking a look at my videos. Just remember, if you are hacked and you need help, you can reach out to me. There's a link in the description. I'll help you. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. I don't know how often I'll get to these videos, but if I see a question, I'll answer it. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care.